Thank you for joining us on the Gecko Pod for episode number 12. We have Kenny from Upside Down Geckos today with us. We're a new podcast for this gecko community where we talk about the hobby and business of breeding geckos, developing your craft and enjoying the community while you're at it. My name is Harry with Zero's Geckos. I'm brand new in the hobby. I'm not even a year in, so I'm learning the hobby and the business and everything from the ground up. And so I'm right here alongside a bunch of people just getting into the hobby. And I have the privilege of having AJ from AJD Reptiles co-hosting with me. He's an OG in this hobby, and he brings with him a wealth of knowledge. So we have a brand new breeder and a OG breeder partnership. We're going together, and hopefully we provide a lot of helpful content along the way as we put out these episodes and whatnot. And so he's been a good friend to me and a good mentor. He's helped me a lot, and so thankful for AJ. And today we're excited. We're thankful for you, Kenny. Kenny's from Upside Down Geckos. And, Kenny, I've come across your Instagram a few times and I was like, oh, this is cool stuff. It's really niche. And then I asked AJ and Brian from Who's Geckos, like, if they knew you. And they're like, dude, they had nothing but good things to say about you. And so here we are. We got you on here. I met you at Tinley briefly. And man, I didn't realize, Kenny, that you've been into reptiles for so long. I thought you were like a newish breeder, like maybe 3 years in. But dude, you're like 2012. You have like tegus, you have snakes. So
yeah,
we'll talk about that. But just thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
So, I would say around 2000, 2001, I started with reptiles.
Yeah.
But like, kind of like the bigger picture of reptiles was about 2005, and
Wow. Okay. So you've been a long time.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything small for a while. I did a lot of small stuff at the same time that I did big stuff. So I did monitors and ball pythons, ball constrictors, different types of bigger pythons like carpets, and I had a pair of Argentines. Those were boa constrictors. So I had a whole bunch of different stuff, but I also did actually have geckos at that point, but they were like some really mean tokays from Petland discounts. So I wouldn't
awesome,
really
dude.
actually count them as like having geckos the way I have them now. I didn't really have the knowledge then, but I had a few different types of geckos, but just stuff I could get at Petland. Before I got into everything else, like around 2005, 2006. And then I got into big pythons, reticulated pythons, and Burmese pythons. Going to the Hamburg show.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha. How long have you known AJ? I mean, after you got
friends,
into the geckos?
We decided to get into those and keep them up in Pennsylvania, and just which was hard, but we did it. Just going back and forth because we lived in the city.
Yeah, I got you.
So, Pennsylvania is wild. You can have some crazy stuff there.
You can have as long as
anything,
as long as it's not native to the state. You can have whatever it is that you want. So going to a Hamburg show, you literally see everything.
Yeah. How long have you known AJ for? Being in the gecko, starting into the gecko community.
I literally met AJ. I knew who AJ was, but I never wanted to ever message anybody unless I was like serious about buying something from them. So I knew exactly who he was from the beginning. But meeting AJ and talking to AJ, it's been 2 years because I met him my first Tinley, not this one that passed, but the year before that was my first Tinley that I went to keeping geckos.
Okay.
Yeah. My first Tinley I went to was 2014.
Okay. That was snakes back then.
Yeah, that was snakes. So 2 years now I've known AJ. And
nice.
I tell him all the time, dude, it's weird. I seen all his stuff coming in, and he even had geckos where I was like, man, I really like that. And when I came in, it was just all Dalmatians, and I just focused on Dalmatians, and
I never had Dalmatians. So.
Right. And
And until now,
I never seen him post Dalmatians, but the stuff he posted, I was just like, man, like I did pay attention to everything, like all I did was buy, I bought one as a pet, and I bought it
Yeah.
from Samantha at Crestopia,
Mm.
and even she was like, "You sure you want to spend this amount of money on a pet? Like, it's just a pet?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's just a pet. I really like it." And she was like,
Was it like
"Okay,
$2,000?
cool." And I ended up buying him, and he was my first red spot male, my first one. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get them and see how it goes." Like I had no more reptiles at that point. I was, recovering from having a broken wrist, and I wasn't going to be able to work with big stuff anymore. And I was already scaling down. So at that point, I only had big pythons. I had no big lizards, no tegus, no monitors, nothing else. So I completely, flat out just had nothing, and got my first crested gecko from Samantha. And
Wow.
then I seen
So it was a Dalmatian that
right,
you got,
yeah,
right?
it was
And then so you literally built out Dalmatian from the get-go.
from that male. He
Wow. Okay.
became my foundation. And
Yeah.
what was his name?
that's Mars. He was a Mardi Gras red spot male.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I seen somebody selling an orange female, and I was like, man, she's really nice. And Samantha was the only one I really spoke to, so I like screenshot and sent it to her, and she was like, hey, that's really pretty. Are you gonna get it? And I was like, yeah, I'll get it. And I bought it. And then she posted a female like a week later, and I was like, oh, you didn't tell me you had more. And she was like, oh, I have a lot. And I was like, well, how much you want for it? I ended up buying that off her. So like in a month I had a trio, and that was the original trio that I got my feet wet with.
Wow, that's
Yep.
awesome.
So I don't know how other breeders would look at it. I never really considered my first season an official season because it was so small. Do you still consider it your first season? Yeah.
I think so.
I would.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I think
Yeah.
so.
What year was that, Kenny?
2018, I would say.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
so
it's been
I
4
bought
years.
those guys, I raised them, and 2 years in, I bred them. And then after that, so I had two females. They gave me 4 eggs apiece, and one went bad on each. So I only had one hatch from each one.
Okay.
Spotson was the one that I
Yeah.
kept, and the other one of my friends was like in love with, and I was like, hey, you could take it. I'll just breed them again. And Spotson was the one that became like, who's the father to all the crazy red spot stuff.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
that's cool. So you had that trio, and then how big from 2018 to now? How big is your collection of Dalmatians and your breeding Dalmatians?
I went through a hard wave.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about it.
I went through a hard wave.
Tell us about it.
Once I successfully like hatched out Spotson and raised him, and he was about like 20 grams or so, 25 grams, I remember.
Yeah.
And I still wasn't working yet because I'm out of work with my wrist broken and it's healing, and I'm going to physical therapy. And I went crazy, dude. Like I seriously, I was at like, I would say about 144 geckos.
Oh wow. Okay.
That you bought?
I bought. I had like
Yeah.
I went.
Were they all Dals?
No, I actually had a whole bunch of different stuff.
Wow.
Wow.
Was this 2019?
Yeah, and I was able to get my hands on a lily white at that time too. It was low white, but I got one. I wanted to see, what it was like, and I actually did like some of the low white stuff. It was interesting, and yeah, it was. I had a lot. It was, and I was still hand feeding everything, like hand feeding all of them, and then
Wow.
I just kind of sat down and was like, all right, well, I kind of just went through everything, and I have a couple tigers, I have a pair of Halloweens, like I had all this stuff, and I was just like, yeah, but I don't really feel like I'm there with it all. Like I am with Dalmatians. So
Yeah.
I got everything real nice and plumped up over the winter, and then after that, like when the spring came around and stuff, I started letting everything go and just kept literally Dalmatians. And then after that, that's when I had more adults that I bought that I was raising, and those guys became everything that I bred my second season. And that was my season that I kept back a lot of stuff, and I feel like that's what I kind of like built my name with when I started selling stuff,
Yeah.
because I feel like when you start selling animals, it's you're kind of building your reputation. People don't see
Yeah.
you're a scammer, or like, you know, you have really nice healthy animals to put out there for people to add to their collections. So I feel like my second season was one of my biggest seasons, and that's where I hit a lot of my really nice stuff that I felt I probably would, which I'm grateful for. So yeah, I think this is only going to be like I think I might skip out on this season to make sure that everybody got good weight and my males are really good to go. But it would be my fourth season, so I'm not even like
Gotcha. Yeah.
super crazy in like that. I breed like once a
Yeah.
year, and I breed over the winter, so that way when the babies hatch out, it's warm here, so that way I kind of have that to work against my advantage with the
Yeah.
ambient temps and stuff like that. So
And you're
So
you're in
you
the
have
East
to
Coast, right?
heat. You have to heat in the winter to breed your animals. Obviously, you're heating
right,
additionally
yep,
to do that.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So the good thing is though is that my guys, my females don't really stay laying so much after, because uh you know, when New York gets cold, it completely kicks in, so they'll shut
Mm,
off.
mm.
But I really like keeping that breeding schedule, so that way I have the heat to add to the ambient to get them eating and get them going again and gaining weight, and the babies eating. So everything just works out for me that way a lot better. So that's just what I stuck to. Um
Yeah.
yeah, but right now my collection is nowhere near what it was before when
Yeah.
I
So
Yeah.
did you have to do like kind of a? So you bought all those animals, you went wild, and then did you have to like kind of purge all those out and refocus, or what was that process
yes.
like?
So thankfully there was a bunch of people that were messaging me about if I was actually going to be breeding a lot of those animals. So when I had told them I'm, you know, I never even made um how would you say, like I never really made for sale ads.
Like
Yeah, for
availability
them,
ads or
I never
anything.
made an availability for them. There were so many people that were like, "Man, this one's really nice. Oh, this one's pretty," and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I think I might make this available," and everything
Mm.
completely just washed out like that and went to really good people that
Wow.
took
That's
care of
awesome.
their geckos. So it worked out great. I was very thankful for the whole process
Yeah.
and how everything was so easy. And after that, I mean, I stuck with, I don't know, I think it was maybe like 25 Dalmatians.
Hmm.
Okay. So you still have those Dalmatians.
Yeah, a lot of them I still have.
Do you
Yep.
have any other morphs besides Dalmatians that you keep still, or everything's gone?
So I have 95% of my stuff is Dalmatians.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I have a white wall there from Allie at Hidden Valley. I have
Mm,
a lily white from Janine at Chaotic Geckoda,
mm.
and I have of some cream stuff. I have a female from Kevin and a male from Sam, and that's it. Those are the only my
Nice.
non.
Okay.
And then I have my little Uris too, which are really cool. I like those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Yeah, that's cool. That's so you kind of fell into that niche of the red Dal confetti spots, and then you named it your Spatterline, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Brian was definitely out with confetti when I had started, and then there
Okay.
was Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you give me the history on that? Is Mardi Gras AC, or what? What's the origin of who named Mardi Gras?
Mardi Gras is Xander, and that's
Okay.
So
And then
that was,
confetti was altitude.
yes. And
Everybody's name for their red spot line.
right.
Or confetti is multicolor, right?
Right. It's well,
Like
yeah,
black and
it's
red.
red spot. Um
Red,
I
green,
yeah, I kind of just
yellow.
took it as I kind of took it as red spot. I didn't really see a lot of green at that time, but I definitely did see red. Um
Hmm.
so that's how I was able. I'm pretty sure between Xander and Brian just said, "All right, I'm naming my confetti," and Xander went with Mardi Gras. So I didn't really see too much Mardi Gras, but I seen a lot of confetti, and already coming from breeding with snakes and having your wheel turning, I didn't want to have a lot of what everybody else had, because then
Mm.
when I'm sitting here and I'm making stuff available, I didn't know if people are actually gonna buy it or not, because they
Yeah.
already
Hmm.
have that. So I
Mm.
was already trying to steer the other way. Um, but definitely at that time, Brian was up there with red spots.
Yeah.
Samantha was making really nice red spots too. And Kim, the Gecko Geek, she's over
Mm-hmm.
in California, and they were all making really nice Dalmatians. And Dalmatians is such a small
Yeah.
little community in the gecko community.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of people that did Dalmatians, and I remember, I was like, man, this is gonna be really hard, because I remember just seeing nothing but, there was a
Right.
group called Misfits, and like it was a little bit of a more open um, group, and I just remember everybody on that group just did not like spots. Like as soon as the spot popped up on one of their geckos, they were like, "Oh, I hate it," and I was just like, "Man, this is gonna be rough, dude. I think not a lot of people like spots, but
I'm
you
building my
know,
whole livelihood on
right."
spots.
But you see,
Yeah.
with snakes and with tegus and stuff
Mm.
like that, for the most part, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
What
Hmm.
intrigued me so much about Dalmatians was that they literally almost never
Develop.
stop changing.
That's
Even
cool.
as
Hmm.
adults, you will still see spots come up on them.
Wow. Okay.
So
Hmm.
I was like, well, this is what I'm gonna stick with, and I just kept going through
That's
with it.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AC did have some Dalmatians though, but I never had anything from his lines.
Hmm.
Mm. How
So
long did it
what?
take you? Oh, go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead,
go
AJ.
ahead, Harry.
No, I was
You
gonna
go.
ask like how long it took you to refine your spatter line, like from when you started to now. Like how long did it take you to figure out what you wanted to do? Do you feel like you've arrived, or you feel like there's more you can do?
I always feel like there's well, as a person, I always feel like there's more I can do, but
Yeah.
I do feel like there's a lot more I can do. Um,
In what ways?
as far as structure,
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah,
right?
structure, the
So
red
as far
spot.
as
Yeah.
structure, I definitely want to be able to work a lot more structure into
Okay.
Dalmatians, especially
Yeah.
into stuff that
Mhm.
I would hatch out in the future. Um, I want to see if I can push it a little bit more with how much more red spots I can have show up and the
Yeah.
size of them. I really concentrated on spots and how much spots I can get to pop up on the animal and the base
Mm.
color. um I really felt like that was important for me, at least in the beginning. But now that I have base color there, I have spots, I got all sorts of different kinds of spots and color coming up. So
Mm.
now I'm focused on you know um structure, crest,
Yeah.
head
Yeah.
size. I like the more of a shorter snout instead of the
Mm.
longer
Yep.
snout. Um, so there's a lot of things that I still ask questions about, even though some people might sit here and feel like, man, you've been doing this forever. I haven't. I still sit here and ask questions. I listen to everything. I still educate myself. Me and AJ have had plenty of conversations about stuff, and I feel like I really also do take breeding beforehand and mixing it into what I'm doing now. and it's helped me a lot. So
Yeah.
breeding Spotson and seeing the kids that he made his first go at breeding, just when I sat here and paid attention to everybody else's posts and what everybody else was doing, and how everybody else was doing it, and looking at their babies and what they were producing in pictures, it was different. And that's how I
Yeah.
decided to sit here and continue to stick to what I was doing. And then I raised him, and then I bred him to a female that was kind of off in a way that I felt like might click with him. And that was the breeding that gave me my breakthrough. I would say, crime scene, blood splatter,
Mm. Yeah.
righteous red, a lot of those geckos that I was able,
What was that female like? Did she have red spots or no?
barely.
Really? So she just had the right base color, the right, like, as far as what you saw would be a good mate for Spotson.
Right. I really loved her base color, and Spotson is an orange base. He fires down a pink base. And sometimes he even gets pale. And he's got green spots, black spots. He's got white spots, red spots. So
Yeah.
she fires down more of like a gold, and she fires up more of like, I would say like this light tan, and she's got like real small red spots. And I was like, well, I want to see what is it that I would get mixing these two bases together, and I want to see what happens here. And that those are the parents to crime scene. So and blood splatter. There's a few more that came out of that breeding, but I felt like that was what really kind of got me to where like I was able to sit here and like branch out a little bit, because when I went to Tinley, that was like the one gecko everybody loved the most, which is crime scene.
Yeah.
So and she's awesome, but I still feel like there's still a lot more refining that I can do, I'm pretty sure. So I just used a lot of what I did for snakes, a lot of what I did for other types of lizards. I just paid attention to what they showed me physically, and I just wanted to see what it would turn out like if I decided to mash it up. And from there and what they produced, I then raised those guys and then bred them here. So it's turned out really nice for me, which I'm super grateful for. But I definitely do feel like there's a lot more refining to do. Structure, snout size, and these guys too. They kind of have different. Some geckos that I hatch out, sometimes they got like that different body structure. Do you know what I'm talking about, AJ? It's like they're not like your.
There's like real skinny, lanky ones, and
Yeah,
there's
They're
like
more
kind of
rounded, more dorsal.
boxy,
right,
kind of more like stout.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm looking at my males and it's like, are you ready to breed? Like, I put him on a scale and he's like 48 grams, and I'm like, you don't look 48 grams, dude. Like,
Yeah.
their body,
It's just because he's long and thin.
right? Their body
Yeah.
types are different, so I don't know if that's something that we can actually achieve through breeding.
Yeah.
You can.
But I'm pretty sure you can,
You
because
can.
there's other geckos out there that are literally like Mack trucks. They're just solid, really nice, big bodied geckos. And then you have your other geckos that are just like, slim and slender. And those would be the fathers, and these trucks for geckos would be the son. And I'm like, well, I don't know how I got,
Yeah.
you at
Like
that.
my yellow stuff, I like specifically bred it to be just like big and like the widest dorsals possible. And the geckos ended up just being like these, like, they just look like bulldogs. They're just like strong and big and thick. But then like my red stuff, like the bloodbath stuff that I have, the pins, the females end up like that, but all the males are like really long and thin.
Yeah,
So it seems to be kind of line dependent, and I do think that you could selectively breed for a certain body weight, and kind of like, I guess it would be like where the animal carries their weight.
right.
Like if they're more long and slender, or if they're a little bit more proportional. And I do think you can selectively breed for it for sure.
Because I'm interested in taking your kind of slim, slender body male to your big, just bulldog type body style female, and see, hopefully he'll be able to do
somewhere
it.
in the middle.
Yeah, like what? So that was something that I was looking at now. Like, what would I get out of that? Would I get a 50-50? Would I get? But there's some geckos out there that when you're trying to feed them crickets, no matter what, it's gonna be able to eat it. Those kind of old body style geckos are just like, they're massive. Their heads are like huge. They'll be able to eat pretty much whatever you put on the tongs.
Yeah. Kenny, Brian was saying going back to base color, Brian Butler, he was saying how he's having a hard time putting red spots on a yellow base. Where are you at with that?
I've done it already.
You have a lot of so you have a lot of yellow base, red spots, like really nice.
I have red base, yellow base, orange base, and I wouldn't say pale base, but like a lighter style base.
Light yellow.
Right. And I've got all sorts of spots and colors on them. But what Brian, I think, was saying was he's going for all red on a yellow base.
Yeah.
I've been able to hit, I would say, about 90% of red on the population of spots on a gecko. The other 10 is still black, but I hit those back like my second season, my third season, and just.
Do you think red spots and black spots are completely different as far as, like, is a red spot a Dalmatian spot, is like in the same trait, where you can separate them, or are they joined together?
I think
obviously you can separate them, but
so this is interesting. Yes, this is, now we're cooking, man. The s'mores are rolling.
Yeah,
they're rolling.
You and I were eating s'mores in
now
June.
We're turning them. Harry's got to be there. Yeah. Next time, this one coming up, man, we're gonna turn s'mores. Me personally, I'm getting down to it. I think if you took your Dalmatian that is yellow base with really big, inky, blotchy black spots, and you put it to your kind of a light yellow, pale base male with red spots, sometimes I feel like the red would transfer in at some point and connect with the size of the black spots and start, because that's how I was able to get crime scene. So it's like using the amount of spots and the size of spots on one to go with the red from the other, and somehow they'll kind of like click into each other genetically and give you babies that exhibit both. I do think red spots and black spots are definitely separate, and the reason why I'm gonna say that is because working towards continuing to work out black spots and get more red, I feel like the closest I have to that, but it's not on a yellow base, is plasma. And plasma is literally like, fired down, he's solid pink. Fired up, he's intensely red, and he's got maybe like 5 black spots.
So would the approach be, because I'm just trying to think through this, would the approach be that, say you breed plasma and then you get offspring, do you just select for the ones that don't have any black spots, and then you just selectively, or the least amount of black spots by the time they grow out, and just over time you just weed out the black spots, to the point where 5-6 generations from now you only are left with red?
Absolutely. That the goal for me is to be producing red spot Dalmatians and red super Dalmatians with only red spots.
Yeah.
Because I have hit on some geckos that are yellow base and they've got maybe like 5 or 6 red spots and nothing else. But to me, I don't count that.
Because it's not enough.
Right. I want to see a high population of spots present on the gecko in order for me to sit here and consider it, a Dalmatian that's only got red spots on the yellow base or on the orange base, which I actually love as well. Orange base with red spots is awesome if you ever seen them. So continuing to keep whatever has the most red and putting it to what has more red, hopefully the red continuing to click together, pushing out the black spots. But like I said, I think it's going to be incredibly hard before I actually get to achieve it, because there's black spots that pop up on stuff that's not even Dalmatians right now.
Yeah.
I feel like they're out there, and AJ would know a lot more than many people, especially me. It's been something that's been there since the core of genetics in crested geckos. So, like, I feel like the chances of black spots showing up are always great, So, but having a line of red spots where it's only red spots, only producing red spots, that'd be awesome. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, Kenny, does anybody else produce, are specializing in red spots like you that are close to that, or is it really just you kind of at the forefront of that? All red spots.
Kyle is going for it. Kyle at Reptiles. We spoke, and that was something that he said he was working on. I know Samantha is. There's so many Dalmatian keepers that have came along in the past 2 or 3 years. So I know there's a lot of people that are going to be going for it. But I think people that focus on Dalmatians solely and only Dalmatians, I probably am the only one. Besides,
the specialist.
Besides, I would hope so. I know there's a lot of people that also do keep Dalmatians. There's Alyssa. She's at Faye and Friends on Instagram. Megan at MP Crusties. They were at Tinley as well. I was gonna say Flora Fauna. They were at Tinley as well, and they also love red spots, and they're working towards that as well. So there's a really good amount of people now that are working with Dalmatians. Janine at Chaotic Gecko, she's dipping into red spots a lot. You still have Kim working with them. Kate at Kate's Colorful Crusteds, which I have one of her females out of a really nice breeding she put together. So she's going to be going when I pair her. I think I'm pair her to Plasma. But so I'm really excited to also see what is it that everybody else produces.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gives me an idea of where I can go from there without me actually doing the work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if I could sit here and look at what they made and then kind of sit here and analyze all of that and then come back to my group and figure out what to do. Yeah. And they all have different lines. We all have different lines. I'm still waiting to make the right gecko for AJ to get. I'm waiting to send him the box, man.
I'm holding one for you too, man.
I'm gonna send him a box soon. Harry, I feel like he's getting there. He might become a spot lover. There's a lot of people that came to the spot side, man. That's what I call it. Come to the
AJ
spot.
got me into spots actually. I have two pair. I have a male and a female.
I've got a bunch of spotted animals right now. Harry's got one from me.
I got a nice male from AJ. It's really covered with black spots.
Good.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Good.
So I'll take my time on it though. I'll take my time.
Yeah. We'll get there.
I don't want to get too crazy with like having Harleys and then having tigers. I don't want to have 150 animals like like you and your second.
I mean, I
season.
have way more than that, so you just keep going.
Just keep going. Maybe if I had a basement.
Do you
I
even
have this
know? Do you even know how many you have right now, AJ?
No,
No,
I don't know. No,
AJ's lost count.
probably I don't know, 800 or 1,000 or something. I don't know.
I would run circles in that room, hand feeding everybody, dude.
You do it about one time and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore."
Probably
Like right now I'm doing a cleaning. I'm just kind of cleaning everything and doing all my acrylic cage, like all my acrylic fronted PVC cages, and it's gonna take me like 3 days full time. I'm doing it like 10 hours a day plus, and it takes forever.
Right.
So, but it'll look really good, and I'll make sure I'll take some pictures right after that.
It's the best feeling when you get to
when everything's super clean.
Everything clean, and you know everything's clean and everything smells clean. I was talking about it the other day. Like, I'm monitoring like all my temps and making sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. So I have everybody in one room. I just finished taking them off paper towel to kind of weed out all the fruit flies. Because I can't stand them and they're almost impossible to get rid of. And then I put everybody back on brand new fresh bedding, and it like smells like a forest in my house. It's like, it's great. Everything's clean.
So you don't get fruit flies in the soil mix?
When I used Eco Earth, I got more of them. Right now, I'm using the cocoa husk kind of chips.
Using chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I knock on wood, I don't have any right now.
Yeah.
And
how big is your space, Kenny?
My space is, I mean, it's with
your geckos
that I have the geckos in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not big at all. It's fairly it's a fairly small room. Which made it harder for me to get rid of them, because when I kind of opened up the tubs and stuff, they'll kind of fly out, and I'm over here trying to like clap them, and it's literally impossible. And then I just felt like they'll kind of like fly and find their way back in the bin. So, but here's the thing though. I don't really think it's the bedding. It's the cork bark. For me, when I'm looking in there and I'm working and I'm like cleaning and changing water and doing everything that I'm doing, they're always on the cork bark. So
interesting.
I'm not sure how, I mean, we're all different, but my eyes catch everything that moves, especially small stuff, because I just have like this thing with small things that move in my reptile cages. I catch everything. So I see them
probably back from snake days with mites and everything.
And so them walking on the cork bark, I can spot it, and I'm just like, and I go and I'm like throwing my cork bark in the freezer, or they say bake it or whatever. There's so many things you can do, but like you said in a different podcast, I forgot which one was it, but AJ said it. They love moisture.
Yeah.
They
can't, if the cages actually dry out, you can kill them off. But the problem is when you're feeding like this fruit-based diet, they'll reproduce in the fecal matter of the geckos.
Yeah.
You can pull food dishes and they'll still lay their larvae or their eggs in like the poop of the gecko.
Right. So this is also, I know it'd be impossible for you to even think about, AJ, when you have a collection as big as yours, but it's also probably just a little bit easier for me because I literally go through everything every day. So I've been lucky to where my guys, I get home from work, I'll make Pangea, put it in there. When I get home from work the next day, I'm taking out those food bowls, they're clean. My guys literally eat overnight. And I spot clean whatever I see. So I think that probably helps me a lot more compared to having a bigger collection where I won't be able to do that. But still, they're literally impossible even when I did that like daily. It's like
yeah, I think it's inevitable.
When the winter rolls around and it gets cold, I think that's what does them in.
Yeah. It's I think it's the ambient humidity in the air kind of drops out a bit too. Because they in the summer I have an issue with them, and as soon as it gets cold, they kind of disappear.
Yeah, they gone.
But then as soon as like June rolls around, it's like they're back again.
Their presence,
they find their way in.
Their presence is quickly seen. Like as soon as they start coming around again, it's like, all right,
it's freaking yeah.
What it is
do you
for the
use
next
one of these?
3 months.
Do you use one of those catchers, those fly trap catchers?
So which one are you talking about?
I got one right here.
Is it the red one?
There's one. There's all these different brands. There's the catchies, like the main one. I have a generic one. Yeah, you should get a couple.
I have 2 of these.
You'll catch a lot of flies with them. A lot.
Yeah, I have these.
Yeah, it's helped. It's helped a lot.
I have these small little. They look like the old school, kind of like air freshener people used to put in their cars with the liquid in it. It's kind of like the size of a little teacup, and you squeeze the liquid in it at the top. You buy them off Amazon. They come like 3 in a pack. I've been using those. And I ordered like 3 packs, and I just put them literally all over the room.
The nice thing about those little lighted devices, so they have a light on them and a fan on them, and the way they work is you put them around the room and turn them on. And when you turn the lights off in the room, they have a very faint light, but the flies are drawn to them in the middle of the night because there's that light, and that's got a fan that sucks them in, and then there's a sticky strip within the device that they get stuck to and they can't get out. So
buying 30 of them.
You don't need 30, but in your room you probably need 2 or 3.
Yeah, but that's
they're
absolutely amazing. Like,
yeah, it's an amazing device.
That whole design, like, who made that?
I don't know, but it's genius. And it's just I mean, they're like, I think they're maybe like $30, like the generic ones, and
35 to 40 for this catchy one. I got 2 of them in this room, and it works well.
Who made that? Like, whoever made that, man, that's
genius.
Like, that's great. Smart, and I always sit here, like, at work on and off, like, I'm constantly trying to sit here and figure out, like, what can I make to, like, help everybody in the reptile hobby, like, to get rid of stuff that we don't want, like.
Yeah.
Because with snakes, I never dealt with any of that. There's something called no pest strips. You can buy them in like Home Depot. You could buy them like in Lowe's. And once you crack one of those open, dude, it's game over for whatever it is that is considered a creepy crawler. Yeah.
But we couldn't do it because of crickets in our rooms.
But that's what I'm saying. So that's why we can't do it. And I honestly wouldn't even do it because the geckos are a lot more delicate. But with those, that's what everybody uses for like mites or like people that get ants or whatever the case may be. It's literally like Wi-Fi. Like you crack one of those open and put it in your room, it will.
I think it like roasts their nervous system or something. Yeah. There's some mechanism that is really, really deadly.
Those no pest strips, they're no joke. So when I had snakes, I just kept one of those in the room. I've never seen anything, not fruit flies, not anything at all.
That's awesome. Yeah. Kenny, how enjoyable are geckos compared to snakes? Because you did snakes for a long time, right?
Yes, it was hard, man. The process, of keeping snakes living in the city, it's hard, especially because before people actually started selling feeders on the net for people to be able to order them, the only way we were actually able to go get any of these feeders was to go to shows. And the closest show to me where you can actually go and get feeders for a really good price was Hamburg. Hamburg is 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. So we'll have to, it will take a whole day just to go get food. and you would have to go in a car where you would be able to like get enough to last you to the next Hamburg show, and then you'll have to make sure you have enough space in a deep freezer or a fridge or something to be able to keep them. Yeah. So it was hard, especially dealing with big snakes, you know, like
feeding
my
rabbits.
My females ate 15 pounds of rabbit a week.
Wow.
You know, like 5 pound rabbits 3 times a week, 2 times a week, no problem. You know, like, and that's me giving them one. Some females even need 2. You know, bigger snakes, they need to feel like they have enough food in them to go off of food in order to breed. Because when they're breeding, they're building follicles, they're not eating, they don't want food in their body because they know they have to produce eggs. So you have to feed them hard enough in order for them to kind of switch off of feeding, go into breeding, and that's how that whole process goes. So, you know, the electric bill for deep freezers and refrigerators, and like the amount of money to spend on
all your heat tape and
forget it. And then now switching over to geckos, all I had to do was mix a little bit of fruit powder and water.
I gotta buy a $30 fly trap. Yeah, sure.
I'm in, dude. I am so.
That's awesome. So highly recommend more breeders to come into the gecko world.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
When I was just at Chinley, I see my snake friends all the time, and they're a lot of them. You know, they're still doing reticulated pythons and big snakes, and they're like, "Hey, how the geckos treating you?" And I'm like, "How do the snakes treating you, dude? Like, I got no issues here. You know,
nobody's biting me. No,
you know, like, well, think about it. It's, let's just say, for example, there was me and one of my really good friends, Mark, who I bred retics with, and one of my friends, Johnny. So we would do projects together. And Mark had this female faithfully every single season. She'll throw 48 eggs. They're all good.
Wow.
That's one female, right? So just think, if you have a female that throws 50 eggs solid every year, no slugs, and you got 3 females that do that, that's 150 babies. And at that time, in 2016, 2017, I feel like people were just getting around to really crafting and building racks. So we were like hand making everything ourselves. And the rack that we had was like definitely janky, but it did the job, and it only held 100 babies. So we got like 400 reticulated python babies. They hatch out like at a foot. You know, they're pretty big snakes, and as soon as they hit the ground, they're ready to eat. So they're growing as soon as they're out of the egg, and it's like having geckos compared to that is such a breath of fresh air. They hatch out, they're small. I just, I feed them some crickets, and I feed them a little bit of Pangea, and I'm good to go. I'm not getting lit up, because they'll bite you. They feel like, you're in their space. So, but I feel like that's everything. Every single different corner of the reptile hobby, they have their, their breath of fresh air, and then they're like, kind of like, the pros and the cons. I do miss snakes as far as like having the challenge, but as far as me being drawn in and pulled in and intrigued, geckos definitely have me there because they're so diverse. Especially with Dalmatians, you never really know what you're gonna get. With snakes, you can kind of tell. You take a motley, you take an albino, you breed them. Those are motleys, head albino, cool. With these guys, I don't know how these babies are gonna turn out. I don't know how many spots they're gonna have. So we're gonna go for it. So
it's exciting. Yeah. Do you feel like the Dalmatian stuff will go well with other types of morphs, or should you always keep them separate on like blank?
I don't think anybody wants that.
Somebody, AJ has some of those, right,
AJ.
Yeah, but I'm not expecting anyone to buy them, but I have some.
Those are just his projects.
Right. So, and who was I talking to about it? I was talking to somebody about it, and I think I was talking. Man, I don't know who I was talking to about it, but pattern dials. Um, I made some before. I just feel like it's really hard when it comes to pattern Dalmatians because I want the pattern to complement the spots and the spots to complement the pattern. And I feel like that's really hard to accomplish sometimes. Where pattern is not taking away from spots and spots is not taking away from pattern, and they look good together on the animal.
That's hard to do.
It's really hard to accomplish, and honestly, it's out of our reach. It's all on what happens there, and as far as whatever magic the animals make. But I also do feel like if you have a pair that puts out amazing pattern dials, you should never separate them or like get rid of them. Because it's really hard to do. I
want to tell you something, Kenny. It's funny. So explain. I still can't understand this, but Gabby and I bred her Lockjaw Gary, that like crazy black spot Dal.
Right.
The Pangea one. We bred it to like one of my big, super clean yellow pinstripes with 0 spots on it.
Right.
And so far, the offspring have either been super Dals that are patternless or patterned animals that have no Dalmatian spots.
Yeah. Okay, so are you ready? You want to touch this subject?
And the patterned animals are not yellow; they're dark.
Right.
Which makes no sense.
Right.
Because neither one is dark.
It's so the same thing with Dalmatians, where I have literally been so excited to the point where I'm like, I'm counting down the days for these animals to hatch. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to post these at like 10 grams. They're going to be crazy. And they're like, they've got like some spots. It's like,
I just thought the way that everybody talks about it, the way that like Lil Monsters talks about it, and all these people talk about spots is that it's dominant. So
yeah, but
if you breed an animal that is spotted, you should, in theory, have some level of spots on every animal produced. And how am I producing animals that are spotless out of, probably one of the spottiest geckos that exists?
Right. But I said, and I spoke about this one time on a live, a lot of people always tend to go for the most spottiest animals that are available. Don't get me wrong. I totally understand why. But if you had spare time to go through my Instagram, I took a year to dedicate to doing breedings with animals that barely had any spots, that made animals that were outrageously spotted. So sometimes breeding the animals that have crazy amounts of spots, you're gonna get animals that are not spotted. It's the most confusing
how do you
thing.
select that? How do you select that non-spotted animal? Like, what is indicators in that animal that you're looking for to produce spotted offspring?
I've always paid attention to. A lot of people pay attention to the size of spots. I pay attention to the amount of spots. A lot of people also pay attention to okay, there's something sometimes this bothers me, and I really don't talk about it a lot. A lot of these animals that are super spotty do have pattern under.
Like that tiger.
When to the eye, you're not gonna see it. You're just gonna see spots. But if we actually took the spots off, they're dirty. It's you're not getting
dirty with tiger.
You're not getting a clean base. I breed very specifically for clean bases. That's the reason why some of my Dalmatians look a lot more different than others, is because I want a clean base, I want a bright base, and then the spots on top of it. There's the look of spots on top of spots, and it's nice. It's just, it's not what I prefer. So I've noticed through time when I sit here and I pay attention to other breedings that people are doing and they're breeding animals like that. If you actually go into the groups and you pay attention to like Dalmatian breedings and people that are breeding Dalmatians with so much crazy amounts of spots and layers of spots on top of each other, it's a 50-50 chance you'll actually get babies that look like that. Some of the babies actually don't come out like that. And I still don't even know how is it possible, because if the spots are there and you're breeding two animals that are heavily spotted like that, you should get babies that are crazy spotted. And there's times as that happens and there's times that it just doesn't at all.
I wonder if there's different, almost like different strains of Dalmatian within the hobby that we don't like there's almost like different versions of the gene out there that don't play with each other, but visually it's like they're both a Dalmatian. You know what I mean? And we're breeding like this animal and this animal together and not getting the desired outcome, but maybe it's because it's not actually the exact same gene.
Right. So I always think about that. It's really hard to sit here and try to bounce that off of somebody because not a lot of us are into Dalmatians. So it's like the same way there's different types of lines out there for different morphs. I've always wondered, like, is Dalmatians just Dalmatians, or are there different areas of Dalmatian and we just don't know it yet because we just have them under Dalmatians because they have spots? You know, like, what if it's this group of Dalmatians, that group of Dalmatians that will actually give us this? You know, so I've actually bred Dalmatians too sometimes, and I bred yellow to yellow and got all red.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've bred red to red and got red and yellow.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, okay, cool. Well, now I'm going to take that female since I know she made yellows before, and I'm going to put her with this yellow male and see what I get. If I get something different, then I know it's maybe this male. So then I took that male and bred him and got all red because she was red. So this male throws more red stuff than anything else, even though he's an orange based animal. But you know, that's really all I ever really did. I think with Dalmatians is really important to be very visual and pay attention to everything that you produce in order for you to continue to work towards your goal. I think everybody has something different that they want to accomplish when it comes to their perfect Dalmatian, but I pay attention to who makes what, and then when I see how those babies are turning out at about 20 grams or so, then I sit here and go back to my drawing board and revamp my breeding situation where I now take this male to put to this female because I like the babies that he did with her, but I like the babies that she did with him. So now I'm putting these two together. Yeah. So I think that's what's helped me a lot to achieve everything that I have to this day, because I've been able to sit here and look at everything and be real visual with it, and pair who I felt might be better with you know, whatever male might be better with whatever female. But still, I've produced stuff before that I never did. Plasma, for example. Plasma's out of TNT and Tapioca. TNT is a female that she's more of like a pink base, and she's got red spots. She's got very few black spots. I think she's got maybe like 3. Tapioca is my big spot male, and he's got big black and green spots, light green spots. And they made plasma.
That's so interesting.
And so what I was going for there was she's got a lot of red spot lineage in her, and he's got just regular Dalmatian lineage. So I was trying to hit red spots with the size of his spots, and I hit Plasma.
It's so crazy that does Plasma have black spots too, or no?
Plasma's got 4 black spots.
That's so crazy that transferred and you didn't get nearly as many black spots. That's surprising to me.
I know. And if you
it's almost like the red is more dominant.
Right. And if you look at there's a picture on my Instagram that I have there of TNT's father. And he's almost him and Plasma literally almost identical. It's just that Plasma's a lot more spotty than him. So I feel like with Dalmatians too, sometimes what we pull out of the babies that we're producing sometimes doesn't necessarily, it goes a lot deeper than the parents. It's going back to like grandparents, which was something that I always looked at too when I was buying Dalmatians. When I was starting, I was looking at grandparents and parents, because I still feel like you can still, well, I know for sure, I mean, AJ, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for sure a lot of pairings that everybody in the hobby ran, they were still able to pull out traits and genetics and, morphs, I guess you would say, out of grandparents, even from whatever you're doing now in babies. So I don't feel like Dalmatians are any different. And when I was building my collection, I made sure that everything I was buying was not related, which was really hard to do. It took a lot of time, and it took a lot of studying and a lot of paying attention to what everybody was producing and what they had. So, but I always laugh when I hear the joke, all of our geckos come from one gecko. So
yeah, that's been a struggle, and I think I shared this with you, but I've been, kind of assembling my Dalmatian groups, and I've been focusing on black spots first because I'm probably going to hopefully get an animal from you, and then build my red spot off that.
Right.
So I'm waiting patiently. I'm not buying any red spots currently, but the dark spot Dalmatians, the gene pool is really small.
Yeah.
When you actually start like, oh, I bought one from XYZ. Who's this go back to? Oh, you go 2 generations back and it's Lily Exotics, or you go X amount of generations back and it's Francesca.
Yeah.
You go, it's like it's a pretty short gene pool until you reach one of like 4 core animals.
Right. Rags to riches.
There's very few.
Right.
That's what I've been trying to do is like with my stuff I'm buying, I'm putting effort into getting males that are of, as far as I can tell, like disconnected lineage from most of the stuff out there, so that when I sell offspring, like you were saying, your initial business strategy was, I don't want to just be breeding confettis or breeding Mardi Gras, because then no one will want to buy them because they can't breed them to the ones they already have.
Right.
So creating something that's unique, that's what I'm trying to do with the Dals, is like try to reach out and get gene pools that are maybe not as shallow, and then I can have animals to offer to people that are outcrosses to what they already have.
Right. Because I figured if I did my homework to make sure that I was outcrossing every way possible, it's easier for anybody that would be a customer. So, I made sure none of my stuff was as far related as possible. And I even would be able to sit here and mix match as much as I want to, because I know I'm not going to hit any walls unless I'm sitting here and I'm breeding holdbacks. Then I would need to pay attention to what I'm doing, because I obviously have those parents. So there's a lot of lines that are really super nice, like Francesca and Francesco, and I don't have them. Damn Daniel lines I don't have.
See, I've got some of it, but I have it in very small amounts.
Right.
It's like, all right, I'm gonna have one of these.
Right. I chose to not have them, so that way, if I make some really nice yellows, people will still have the option to be able to buy that to use in those projects with their Francesco babies and their damn Daniel lines. Because how fun is it to sit here and feel so restricted, you know, like, especially for people that are just getting into the hobby and they're not really that keen yet on genetics and how they work. And it's like, man, I really like this gecko. And I'm like, okay, cool. And if you want it, box it up, ship it out. And then they message me like 6 months later and they're like, man, I can't breed anything I got from you because it's all related to whatever. And, kind of feel bad a little bit. I wouldn't want that. Yeah. So a lot of my stuff, here, I have all the lineage on, and I really have a phobia of like losing my lineage paperwork. So everything,
get it in the cloud, man.
I have
hard drives, cloud.
I have it in the cloud on
paper,
but I have everything memorized.
Wow.
As far as who I got from where and why, and my holdbacks and who they came from. So
do both of you guys import stuff from the other countries?
I haven't done many. I bought one from Donna.
One from UK. A male of mine that I named Spot Sanity. He like had a ton of spots.
Who was that from?
That was from, her name is, she's Krusty Cavern.
Okay. I've heard of her.
Yeah, Krusty Cavern. I can't remember her name right now. I don't know why I can't remember her name right now, but her business name was Krusty Cavern, and she was in the UK. And Sam actually has a male from her too named Heebie Jeebie, and I had a male from her named Spot Sanity, and that was a yellow based super Dalmatian male that I brought in to do yellow stuff. Man, I can't remember her name right now. It's bothering me. But yeah, Krusty Cavern. I did always want to get some from Lily Exotics, but never got around.
But that's what the damn Daniel stuff
is. And then once I started doing my homework and I started finding out that that's where it came from, I was like, okay, cool. Then I'll hold off on that.
And then isn't that also, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that also where like Allie's birdshot stuff comes from? Isn't birdshot from what's the animal that's from?
I know she got birdshot at Tinley though. One Tinley.
Isn't it from Pangea though?
I'm not sure if it was at Lily Exotics' table or Pangea's table. I don't think
Lily Exotic has ever had a table.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm thinking Northern Gecko. Sorry.
They have Lily Exotics lineage,
right?
Though.
They have Lily Exotics lineage, and they vend that Tinley. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I don't know, but the whole thing is like it's pretty. Things make it back to Lily Exotics lineage pretty quickly.
It's knit tight for sure.
It's super tight. From doing other morphs my whole gecko career to now starting Dalmatians, I've never seen a shallower gene pool than Dalmatians. Like in Harleys and in pins, like people complain about like my Emerald or like LAC's Toulouse or his Lellerap, but like that does not compare at all to Dalmatians. Dalmatians are super
they
small, are group. So I think there's a lot of work that can be done if somebody's willing to kind of take a step backwards to make some stuff that maybe is a good outcross.
Now,
because that's
do you think, in your opinion, Harry, I know you're new here, but you chime in anytime you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think it's gonna be incredibly hard to kind of blow up that frame to a bigger picture from it being so shallow, because it already is? Like everything is stemming from such a shallow group. I
don't think so. I think you can do it. I think if you can find an animal like find some Dalmatians from somebody that, like, I have a friend here in North Carolina that breeds Dals and has bred them a long time, but they're not connected to a lot of other people's. So it's like, find some animals like that and try to mix that with something else that's kind of disconnected from the rest of the popular lineages, and then make some starter animals, kind of like what you did with red spots. You have to kind of start from, you got to start from like a 3 or a 2 or 3 on the quality scale, and then step it up. Of course. To get to it. You just won't be able to do it in like one gen. No, you're not going to make the same quality of animals as like the damn Daniel line in Gen 1, but you'll be able to, in 3 generations, you should be able to have animals that are pretty comparable, that would be good outcrosses. If people, because a lot of people value it, like that's a whole nother topic where it's like, is that something that we need to put as much emphasis on? But the reality is customers value it. Right. So if we're running a business and we can offer that as another selling feature to the animal that we're offering, is that we've put the time in to give them an option. Absolutely. I think that's really valuable.
Oh, of course. 100%. Yeah. And I think it would be easier. I think it's easier with more people working with it, because it's not just very few people. But just like what you said exactly with your friend that's local to you, I think it's those geckos, wherever they're at, are super important. Like in any morph, like I feel like the people that kind of just bought some animals and just started working with them and breeding them, and they're totally disconnected from social media, like don't do social media, no nothing, that you probably might see them at some shows and they got amazing stuff and it's related to nothing. It's like,
that's the stuff you want to scoop up.
That's the table where you want to sit here and spend almost every single dollar you have, because it's worth it. Like you're gonna bring back a whole breath of fresh air to your house to work into your collection. And I think there's a lot of spectacular and special things that will come out of those geckos. We just don't know yet, because we haven't been able to really sit here and work with them. So I definitely agree with that. But it is hard to find that, like a lot of those geckos you find with the not popular lineages that are still really nice, like those are all like, it take a year to find all of those, like pet shop hunting and trying to go dig out people out of their homes that have been doing this for years but don't care for social media, that have all this nice stuff. But it's out there. It's out there for sure. But
so pivoting a little bit here, we're talking kind of a little bit about the topic of business strategy. And, I think that it sounds like you're a hobbyist that has a business focus, but what would you say your business strategy is right now, as far as how are you trying to grow? Are you trying to get bigger? Is it just about the progression of the animals at this point, instead of growing your business size wise? Right. What's your thought on that?
It's all for the animals and for myself. For me, business is last. I just want to be able to sit here in a group of people and talk Dalmatians and spots all day and be able to tell them exactly what they need to know in confidence, because I've been doing it for X amount of years and I focused on educating myself on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it before worrying about the business aspect. This is all still super fun to me and it's a hobby. Of course, there's babies that I do sell and there's availability that I do put out there, but it's not really so much of a big deal for me. I'm worried about trying to accomplish what I have on my goals list with the animals more than anything else, because I feel like that's what's more important. it's more important for me to continue to make awesome Dalmatians and super Dalmatians that people could use in their projects and have in their collections before me trying to sit here and make a website. To me, that's more important as a person, which is the reason
letting the animals speak for
yeah,
themselves.
which is the reason why I don't have a business page still. I don't have a website. All that stuff I'm just maybe later. Like I'm still here trying to focus on making really awesome stuff to ship out to friends of mine. Like I would get a lot more joy and satisfaction out of boxing up 2 Dalmatians to send to you guys than sitting here announcing my website's gonna go live. Like I'm not worried about that. You know, and we're all different. You know, everybody has a different focus, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's a huge accomplishment for people to sit here and get their websites up and running off the ground, and it's great. And congratulations to everybody that has accomplished that. I'm pretty sure if I wanted to, I would have had one already, but my head is too wrapped up into trying to figure out how is it that I can shine what I already have and make it better than what I've been able to already, so that way I can sit here and get more out there in people's hands for people to enjoy and work with. So yeah, with the business is just me as a person comes before the business part. Even back in 2000, the early 2000s, I had plenty of chances to breed. I just never did. I just wanted to just enjoy them and grow them and see how they change and how big is this one gonna get on jumbo rats instead of rabbits. Like, you know, that was just where my mind always was. You know, just like how AJ talks about taking time out to feed babies Pangea and then babies bugs and see what happens there. Like my head is like all into the geckos themselves before, you know, what I want to do as a person to grow. I just want to continue to grow in the gecko aspect before anything else. So I really just stay dialed in on that. I really don't focus on anything else. But when I would eventually put my focus on that, then that's when I'll sit here and crank that out and get it done. But a lot of my holdbacks are growing right now. And we're talking about holdbacks like blood splatter and crime scene, plasma, all of everybody's like super favorite red spot stuff. Like now is when they're hitting breeding weight. So now is when I'm really gonna get to sit here and kick off everything that I have planned. So I don't even think that's gonna be in my vision for at least like another year, 2 years or so.
The
Right,
business
the business aspect. Because right now is when I'm getting really to play with. We're talking solid red
the
spots.
real
Yeah,
stuff.
like less black spots, more red spots. So now my head is just all geared up to, all right, let's see what is it that I can do now with this. And then I started the Uris, which is super cool. I love them. They're super different than crusteds, and they're super small. So it's like I kind of go into a different mode with them. I kind of go into like this little gentle mode when you're like, and even my Uris eat off tongs, dude. It's pretty cool. Like
really, that's cool.
When they started eating off tongs for me, it was like that was it. That was like one of the best Saturdays. I was like, man, I really did it. It's because I know those guys like to hunt, but I kind of have them on the tongs and wiggle the cricket around a little bit, and they'll just go in and snatch them up, and I was like, man, this is cool. So and it feels like it takes forever for them to grow. It's like because they're so small, you don't really see it, but it's cool. It's different. I got those guys there. Hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to like breed them later on. But right now, I'm just enjoying them and watching them grow and hang out, and they're cool. Do you breed those? You don't? You do?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Yeah, I just have Agricoli and Velarde.
Yeah, that's what.
Velarde, however you want to say it.
Velarde. I don't. Everybody says it different all the time.
I think technically you shouldn't say the L's in Latin, so it should be
Velarde.
But Yeah, technically. But
I like the other guys too. They hold a lot of different color and contrast. Those guys are really nice too.
Yeah, like the Occidentalis are cool, and then the Symmetricus. Symmetricus is the only one that kind of intrigues me because they are different enough. The Occidentalis are too similar to Agricolae for me.
And that's the group that's not common, right?
Both Symmetricus and Occidentalis are less common, but what has kept me from buying them is they're not different enough to warrant the price to me.
Gotcha. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like Symmetricus, the cool thing about them is they have like on the back of their neck, they have some kind of displaced scales where their scales are kind of larger and more spaced out. Which that's cool to me because I'm like, oh, at least it's kind of different.
Yeah.
But Occidentalis, I'm like, oh, this could. I mean, there's more variation within Viardi and within Agricolae. Like you can get bright orange Agricolae.
Those
you can get like the super light yellow Viardi, which I have like both of those, but I just don't see a lot of variation in the more expensive species. So I'm kind of like, I think I'll wait until those become cheaper before.
Really quick, now that you said that about the color, do you have any super solid red based Dalmatians and super solid yellow based Dalmatians?
I don't have very much red at all. Almost everything's yellow based.
Right.
But I always gravitate towards yellow or orange.
I bred a really, really, really red male that I have to a completely solid yellow female. And one of the kids came out super interesting where it's a yellow base, but it almost had like blotches of red under that would come through when it fires up, and it's almost like there's like red under the yellow.
Did it look like tiger, like red tiger striping?
Right. It was so different. Do you think that
they do that?
Right. Like, do you think both base colors are at play?
I think what happens. I think a lot. So there's obviously Phantom is like the animals that lack pattern,
right?
And then Tiger is dominant. So Tiger will either be in the animal or not. So like the animals that you're working with, where you're trying to get real clean base, you're probably selectively picking animals that have the least amount of tiger or no tiger as possible.
Right.
But if you take animals that have tiger and you breed like say yellow to red, it seems like you get these like dark yellow to light orange animals that will get red tigering. So it seems like that red kind of grabs onto that tiger trait.
It's super interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm able to make really nice, clean base yellow stuff with like these red tiger patterns on it, like I'm in.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's nice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I got a mail. I think I showed him to you. I got a mail from Chia and Death Star from Sam.
Yes.
And he's got a decent amount of tigering, but I think I'm just going to roll with it and just breed him to other ones that are similar.
Right.
And just try to make the best version of that I can.
Are you excited to be doing
to breed
that?
Dals? Yeah, right. Man, I'm jumping in really deep, really fast. So I told Harry that I think I told you at Florifauna too. I'm like, right now, I don't really even have a defined vision of where I want to go because I haven't produced very many yet. And so I'm just going to produce a ton of them and then hold back and try to get size on them and then try to pick out looks of animals I like and then kind of define the vision then.
Right.
So
of course.
At this stage, I'm like, all right, I got to produce a bunch and get my eyes on them and start selecting out things that I like and don't like. Right. And then deciding, oh yeah, I'm selling that animal. I'm selling those adults and I'm holding holdbacks back, and I'm like, defining and refining better. So, but right now it's just kind of, I've been in collecting mode, and now I'm about to kind of open the floodgates a little bit. I think I'll probably do like 10 pairs this year.
Woo!
So out of like 5 different males that are unique lineages. So I might do more. I could do more. I think I had like 16 or 17 female Dalmatians. I don't know how many I want to do in the first run, though. I don't know how deep I want to go. I don't want to overdo it.
I seen Harry post that he hatched out some babies, which congratulations again.
Yeah.
So really fast before we keep going, do you ever feel weird do you ever feel weird as a keeper when sometimes when you actually think about like what is it that you're gunning for that season and you really can't figure it out? It's kind of like sometimes when you talk to people, it's kind of like, man, I know what I want to go for. I want to go for this tiger with a solid with solid pattern and dorsal and some spots. And it's like, well, if somebody asks me that, I don't really know. I'm just kind of
no. I think I have a blend of like rolling the dice on some stuff where I'm like, I have a few scenarios that I expect will come out of it. It could be A, B, or C, and I'm okay with the odds. And then I have some stuff where I'm like, I know exactly what's going to come out of it, because I've worked with it long enough. Kind of like at this point, you probably know some of your animals pretty well. These Dalmatians, I feel like I'm kind of rolling the dice because I've never worked with. Anytime you breed a new breeder for the first time, it's like, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to recreate themselves? Are they going to pass this gene on in the way I expect them to? Are they not? So the Dalmatians, I feel like next year is going to be a total experiment for me.
And that is important. And I don't want to cut you off because I want to listen to what you are gunning for with Dalmatians, but really fast, what you just said with them recreating themselves, I, as a keeper that works with Dalmatians, I would rather keep less spotty Dalmatians that produce super nice looking babies than keep super spotty Dalmatians that don't.
Yeah, because it all matters, like what you end up being able to give to the customer or give to the person. But yeah, as far as like the goals with the Dalmatians for me, I don't know. I'm in a very creative headspace right now, so I'm thinking about a lot of different things that are possible, and I'm working towards. But I know I talk about this on the podcast all the time, so pardon me, everybody. But I do think about like all of these animals kind of as puzzle pieces and as building blocks. So this animal has this thing going on. Well, I have this vision for an animal, like for example, I have this red phantom lily white that's crazy, female, and I'd love to cover that animal in red spots.
Listen, that's the only animal that I actually would add to my collection right now.
Well, we might need to do a loan on it because she's about 40 grams. So
if we're talking about animals right now, the only animal that I would add to my collection right now, the only thing that I feel I need to experiment is a red phantom lily white female. That's it.
Well, I think I have probably the nicest one, in my opinion.
Oh, I
probably have the nicest one that I've ever seen. I did not produce it. Generations, Keith and Laura produced it. But it's crazy.
I need to see it because honestly, Harry, I don't know if you've paid attention to. I know AJ has a lot of stuff, but I'll tell you what's the favorite. What I think is my favorite stuff out of AJ's collection is his Felix and Julia kids. I love them.
Harry's got one.
I love one. I'm gonna get one day.
You will.
I'm gonna get one day. But his Felix and Julia stuff is, I love it, and it's not even Dalmatian.
Yeah.
There's no spots.
No,
Those
that's cool.
and oh man,
Yeah.
God, I love them so much. I love that stuff.
I,
The blood
yeah, I think
stuff.
what's interesting to me.
I still appreciate. I still appreciate a lot, even though I only work with Dalmatians. You know, so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I like when we talk on this podcast, anytime we're talking, like we've done a couple of these like Q&A things, and people ask kind of like tips for new people. And anytime I think about how someone should start their collection, I always think about you, because you've niched in so hard that you've made yourself known, and you've been able to focus on something that is so specialized. But like, if anybody ever says red spot Dalmatians, they know who you are. Like, you're the first on the list as far as like people thinking about who's working with that. I think because you're just so prominent in it. Because even if, like, I love Sam, but like Sam does a lot of different stuff, and like a lot of these people do everything under the sun, me included. But if somebody thinks about that, they know who you are.
And Sam told me that a while back, and I had told her, you know, like, I don't think that's true, and she was like, it is.
It's true.
And
It's true.
and I told her, I don't understand how I will sit here and be number one before you. You've been doing this before me, and you look at I got my first gecko from you, and she's like, yeah, but
you're focused.
I'm also doing all this other stuff, and you're just focusing on this. And I've been to Sam's before, you know, and I've seen her collection, and I run through everything when I'm there. I look at everything. I look at all the stuff.
Yeah, she said when you go over there, it'll be like 2 a.m. You'll be down there feeding stuff and cleaning cages.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. It's 2 a.m, and she's like, I need to get sleep. And I'm like, okay, cool. Do you have a pair of tongs around here?
I'm trying to hand feed every one of these things.
You know, like
the
last time I was there, you know, I remember, you know, I woke up. It's like 7 a.m. or something like that, and it's pretty quiet, and I don't want to wake nobody up. And I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, you know, she has a bathroom downstairs, and so I went, brushed my teeth, washed my face, and you know, I checked my phone for like 5 minutes, and then I went into the room and I started cleaning. You know, like, and she comes in her own gecko room, and she's like, hello. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, what are you doing in here, dude? Like, I thought you were sleeping. I'm looking for you. And I'm like, no, I'm not, man. I'm cleaning. And she's like, are you kidding? Like, you need to not clean. Like, come upstairs and eat breakfast. And I'm like, I'm almost done with this stack. Like, hey, I like this gecko over here. Like, you know, it's just, it'd probably be the same thing. Like, if I crashed at your place, AJ, like, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm burnt out. I'm going to bed. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, well, how do you want me to clean this stuff here? Because my battery is going, man. You know,
it's funny.
There's never enough. You know, you never stop learning. You never stop seeing different things when you're keeping them. So first and foremost, as a person, I just want to be well-rounded when it comes to what I'm keeping. And crested geckos, period. You know, even if it doesn't have anything to do with Dalmatians. As far as being mentioned when Dalmatians are brought up, I mean, I'm forever grateful for that. And sometimes I still don't even wrap my head around it, because I still feel like, to me as a person, I still feel like I had a lot of work to do to get there. And I remember meeting everybody for the first time at Tinley, and AJ knowing exactly, I knew who he was, but from me not having such a personal presence on social media, where it's just me just posting geckos and that's it, my face is not anywhere, like, and AJ, like, as soon as Samantha was like, oh yeah, that his Instagram's cold-blooded only, and everybody knew who I was, and I was like, oh snap, dude, maybe people do pay attention to my stuff, even though it's Dalmatian. Like,
sure.
You know,
bro.
Maybe these guys do really, maybe they do like Dalmatians. They just don't work with them. Like, it was super surprising for me, you know. So, look, that's how true it is. My phone almost fell over. It was super surprising for me, like, I was like, man, you guys know? Like, I remember asking AJ and Kevin were like, man, we really like your Dalmatians. I was like, you guys seen my stuff before? Like,
you guys don't even have
yeah,
Dalmatians.
like these guys don't even have them. That's why when AJ was like, man, I got some really nice Dalmatians I picked up. I remember reading that message like 3 times over, and I'm like, dude, you got Dalmatians?
Yeah,
I was like,
I've gone to the spot side.
this
as you
is
say.
it. I love it, dude. Harry's already got one, dude. So
yeah, he's starting.
I'm making my way there.
So like AJ's like, you know,
AJ's 800.
he's got tons of amazing stuff. But so as with you, like is there a lot of stuff that you have that you're keeping right now that you're just enjoying, or the stuff that you have right now you're like enjoying them, raising them, and you have a project for them?
Yeah, I think for me a lot of it is like tries, Harleys, and I got a pair of Gargs, I got a pair of Dalmatians, and so I think I'm trying to figure out what I want to move into, like you guys. What I like about this episode, and that people like really niche down and like build out the projects. It takes a long time. For me, I don't like. I have like 15 hatchlings for this season, and I don't know how everything's going to turn out. So I'm just learning what produces what, which is exciting for me. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this doesn't always go with this and this and this, and so I'm just learning right now. And
how has it been for you? Like
it's
overall,
been good, man.
Throughout the whole, you know, from your first gecko to now, like, is it like it's always been like 100% enjoyable?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean,
cool.
I wouldn't book a flight out to Tinley to hang out with you guys if I didn't love it, right? And so I went deep in, you know, like I was like, okay, I got this first one. I got AJ's Felix Julia, and I went deep. And so I have a bunch of geckos now, and I love it. I'm excited for the next 2 seasons, the next 2 years, as things begin to produce and grow. And man, I want to get to where you got, you know, Kenny, where you are first, right? Because you're maybe 4 years in, right? Where you can really begin to play with the projects. That's where I want to be.
I just wanted to build it from the ground up, so that way I can sit here and know exactly what's going on.
Yes.
But I remember seeing you right next to AJ's table, and I was like, that's Harry. I gotta go say what's up to him before anything. You know, I always see AJ.
I appreciate that.
And AJ, you know, from watching the podcast, but I always see AJ, and AJ has given me the same answer the past 2 Tinleys. Like, I met AJ on Friday and then went to say what's up to him at his table on Saturday. And at this show, I got there Friday and we seen each other real quick, but I went to see him at his table Saturday, and I'm like, dude, what's up? How's everything going? And I got the same answer both shows. I'm starving, man, but I'm good.
He's always hungry.
He's just like,
well, I'm always hungry at Tinley because it's like my whole schedule's thrown off. It's like 3 p.m. and I haven't had breakfast or lunch.
Yeah. Man. I'm laughing and I'm just kind of like, you know, Alyssa was next to me.
That's funny.
And she's like, what happened? Did I miss something? I'm like, nah, I just got to start bringing like a sandwich for AJ or something on Saturdays when I come. Like, he's always, everybody else is running around looking at animals, and AJ's like, man, I can't wait to eat later. What is everybody eating?
Yeah, like, where are we going?
You know? So I seen Harry there, and I was like, I gotta say what's up to Harry. It's because it's real easy to lose yourself in there. There's so many people, so much stuff around. Somebody pulls you this way to look at this. By the time you come back, this person's gone. So it was real. It was super fun to meet you, like, at the show before actually doing this. And I'm pretty sure you got to see. I mean, I didn't want to be in the way too much, because when I got there, you were looking at some geckos with a treehouse, I think, was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, you guys were talking and stuff. I said, what's up? And really fast, I was like, I know you guys were. I came in the middle of you guys talking. So, and then even she was like, hey, I'm sorry, you know, I'm trying to put faces to the name. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm Kenny. My Instagram's cold-blooded only. And she's like, oh, you got all the really nice Dalmatian stuff. And I was like, you have Dalmatians? Or like, you know, it was just like,
I don't think she does.
I don't think they do, you know. And I was just like, man, I'm always surprised when people are like, you know, they know what it is that I'm doing. And you know, I guess now it's pretty much out there a lot more than I thought it was. But I don't really necessarily even see a lot of Dalmatians at the shows either. Sometimes, I
yeah,
see
seriously, very few.
yeah, and I wanted to ask you guys too that I don't know if you get to make it to any shows around you, but I know AJ does a fair amount of shows throughout the year. Like,
almost no Dalmatians.
No Dalmatians, right? Like
I would say if you go through any of these shows that I go, like Tinley probably has more than other shows, but even that, how many nice Dalmatians do you see?
Yeah.
Very few.
Right.
Yeah. Do you been shows, Kenny?
No, I don't.
Okay. You'd be the only Dalmatians guy if you do.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I would be, and I think it'd be interesting to see how would that go? Is just a table of just Dalmatians, like would there be heavy traffic? Would because everybody is always specific in what they're looking for, especially at shows. So I know there's people that are gonna run right to. They'll run right to AJ's table if they know he's bringing yellows. They'll run straight to Pangea if they're bringing, or Halloween's or something. So, it really is interesting for me to. I was planning on whatever be the first show that I'll do. I'll definitely try to do it with friends. So like if AJ's doing a show over here with Brett, whoever else may be over there doing a show. I know Gabby and Brett, they travel a lot, do shows, and do a show with them and have a table of just Dalmatian stuff and just,
awesome.
and see how it goes. But I haven't did a show yet. I haven't vended a show. And honestly, like I would probably not sell stuff. I would probably not let go of stuff. And do a show, so that way I have a good volume to bring, because a lot of my stuff sells out super fast.
Well, why don't you try to hold a chunk of animals for Flora Fauna next year? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not this. I mean, if you can for this upcoming one, but for the one after that, maybe you could have like a really good offering. Since that's kind of the point of that show, is it's a niche show for high-end animals. You'd be the only one doing that, and I bet you do really well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, well, that my plan was that just because I'll have babies on the ground from all the high red spot stuff. So I would just be raising everything and getting everything, smashing food and all nice and pretty, and like I'm just a drive up. So I'll just button everybody up and bring them up and see how everything goes and get to bring everything for everybody to see. I was so close to shipping out Crime Scene and Plasma to a buddy of mine, Shane, that lives out there in Chicago. He's local to the Tinley show, and bringing them with me so everybody can see. But I couldn't bring myself to it. I don't know why.
You don't want to lose your animals, or anything happen to it.
I feel like sometimes bringing them out, and then like for that weekend, and then bringing them back home, and then like they kind of eat weird, and they'll take a while to get back to. Right now, I just want everybody solid eating, focused on being geckos, so that way we see what everything looks like come January when I start pairing. So as much as I want everybody to just see this in person, like I really, Sam, Allie got to see some of my stuff when she came. Gabby's got to see my stuff when she came when they were in New York. Sam hasn't, and she tells me all the time she's upset about it. AJ is somebody I really want to see something like Plasma, just because it's the weirdest thing ever. He fires up an intense red, but you can still see his red spots literally like before you even have him in your hand. And it's awesome. So hard to describe. And it's like sometimes I see my stuff fired up and I'm like, man, I just want everybody to see this right now. Like I wish everybody could just teleport right here, right now, and just look at this and just see what you know,
I'll
what
have to
I
come visit.
tried,
Yeah.
you know, so
I know video's not the same, but call us up, FaceTime us,
yeah,
and we can see
you
some
know,
of it,
send
right?
pictures or something like
Yeah,
that, you know, like
yeah,
send one of them to AJ. He could babysit it for like the summer or
yeah.
something like that, or
Yeah.
something, you know. But
Yeah.
that's good,
We'll
Harry.
work it out.
Happy that
Yeah.
you enjoy it, because
Dude, love it, man.
that's the most
I love
important
it.
thing, that you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah, and Chen with you guys, I think Chen with a lot of like breeders that are so into it, been in it for years, or even newer ones that are really excited to grow in the hobby. Man, it really excites me.
yeah.
Like even talking with you, I'm like, dude, this is amazing. I can't wait to be in this headspace where, and with you and AJ, always talking about, okay, what goes well with it, so I'm pretty excited about
To
that. And
have all
so,
those options.
yeah,
Yeah.
Me,
yes, yeah.
I
So
feel like me and AJ could spend a whole day in a
to
hibachi
chat it up.
spot just talking genetics. Just that's all we
Yeah,
really
man.
need. We just is just genetics
Yeah.
and food, and
And we'll probably say the same things like 17 times, but we'll say it slightly
And still,
different and it'll be,
and still be excited about it.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's,
that's funny.
you know, like,
Yeah,
and it's really, it's it's really special for me to sit here and be able to talk to so many people that have been doing this for so long as AJ, because
yeah,
seen they've seen the transformation in the animals from when they first started all the way up until now, as far as morphs
Mhm.
and the colors,
yeah.
and how much the colors improved. I'm pretty sure the first time AJ ever seen a lily white, it must have been like, because lily whites, or the thought of something looking like a lily white back when he first started breeding, was probably unheard of. Like,
Yeah.
trying to work white onto geckos, I'm pretty sure that was a goal
Very
everybody
hard.
had, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, Kenny, as we kind of begin to land the plane, at the end, near the end of our podcast, we always ask, what is some advice that you have for new breeders, things to do, things not to do, from your perspective. I know you're enjoying every aspect of it, but, if you're talking to like me or somebody who's just getting into it, what is something to do, what not to do? What are things to avoid, and things to move into?
It's really easy to lose yourself, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can overwhelm yourself to the point that you don't know it yet, and then it doesn't become enjoyable.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of people sometimes get stuck. I just i just want i just want to be able to tell everybody to take it slow, and just make sure
Mhm.
that you are working with what you love. Like,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
red pinstripes, Dalmatians, lilies, if it's what you love, work with it, enjoy it,
Mhm.
accomplish
Yeah.
your goals with it. Um, Sometimes a lot of people, like, might be a little bit stressed out about how many babies they have on the ground, and I feel like, if somebody, like, for me as a person, if I was to sit here and get into pinstripes because I feel like they're making a lot of money, but it's not what I love, and now they're not selling, I'll be going out of my mind. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah. For sure.
if
For
I
sure.
hatched out 100 Dalmatian babies and not one moved,
Yeah.
I really wouldn't care, because I'm
Yeah.
sitting
That's
here watching them develop,
yeah.
and I'm sitting here
Yeah.
studying
Yeah.
all of them, and it's what I love. So you can't really sit
Yeah.
here and be upset about it. So I
Mhm.
think for
That's cool.
anybody coming in the hobby, work with what you love, and stay true to yourself. There's plenty of morphs out there, but don't do something because it's the new thing. Don't do it because you see this going for high amounts of money. Do what you want, do what you love, work with what you feel you're gonna love in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the most
Yeah.
important thing.
A long game.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to breed, I'm trying to accomplish producing animals that are awesome now, but will still be awesome, and people can still use in their collections 5 years from now. That's my goal.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
goal is
For sure, man.
creating what we can use now, but what we can use in the future just as much. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, just
Yeah.
make sure that whatever you do, you can do it to the fullest extent. Sometimes people jump in and they really don't know. I've had a couple of people sometimes that messaged me after they bought a gecko from me, and they're like, man, I didn't know how expensive this Pangea stuff is. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
How much are you using?
right. So it's kind of like, it kind of made me feel like, man, like, I don't know if they're actually going to feed the gecko or not. I'm just like, hey, you know what? Like, just
They're just
buy
in it for the
one
money.
pack for now. I'll ship you a couple for free. Like, I have your address. Like, just to make
Yeah, yeah.
sure the gecko's
That's
eating.
funny, man.
Because Pangea is a
Yeah,
lot cheaper than most most food items out there for reptiles. So, as
you'll be like, I'll come over. I'll tongue feed it for you.
right, as long as you're able to do the right thing by these animals and whatever it is that you keep as far as reptiles, and you do what you love,
Yeah.
and you work with what you love, I think that's the most important thing for the new people coming in. And just have an open
That's
mind,
cool.
just be positive, because honestly, being negative and all the craziness and people sitting here like kind of like beating up on each other when questions are asked by new people, it's just, it's discouraging for them. And really, this is the future of the hobby. Everybody that's new, that's coming in now. So I always try to help them as much as possible, so that way they know what to do, instead of not knowing what to do, and they kind of result into something that we really wouldn't want them doing if we heard of it. So that's what I feel is most important to get out there, so that way they can hear.
Yeah, no, appreciate you, Kenny. Yeah, it's obvious you have a clear passion for the animals and the projects you're doing. And so to me, it's like a breath of fresh air. You're not just in it to, make money, but you really want to hone in your craft and enjoy it. Right. And so I
Right.
think the more people that hear that and understand that, the more breeders that actually love what they do. I think it's
Right.
just going to elevate kind of the community and the whole gecko game. And we're just going to produce even better animals. And I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. So, yeah,
It's
dude.
for me to make 2 Dalmatians that you guys want in your collection.
Yeah.
It absolutely means more to me than anything else. Like, especially with you guys being gecko keepers as well, and somebody like AJ who's so advanced in the hobby, where like, for him to message me and say, "Man, I think I really need that," it'd be like, send me your address, dude. I'll send it right now. Like, that means more to me. The fact that I was able to accomplish something like that means so much more to me than whatever the price tag may be. So
cool.
it's more it's more on me as a person and what I was able to accomplish doing this and being a part of this hobby than anything else. Going back to the business aspect thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna hit you up for some geckos after. So
after me, Harry. After me, all right.
Oh, after AJ, I gotta get in line. But yeah, we appreciate you, Kenny. We'll keep chatting, but I'll close this out. And man, we're really thankful for you for your time, and I was really excited to chat with you. So
Having me
thank
here,
you,
man.
brother.
I appreciate it so much. I'm not gonna watch the one on myself, but I'll wait for you guys to put out another one, so that way I can watch. But these guys doing a great job. And actually, just the other day, I was watching it while I was feeding, and then I couldn't watch my phone at the same time. But then I kind of found myself like listening to it while I was feeding, and I was like, man, this is pretty neat. Like, I'm always sitting down just watching it, but I'm like, man, this is kind of cool too. So
we actually have a Spotify.
Yeah, go on Spotify.
If you want to
you can listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah, look it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Spotify.
Hell yeah, I'm doing that. I had no idea.
It's on video on Spotify too.
Yeah.
Really?
So you can
video,
be like
audio,
watching the video, and then you can lock your phone, and the audio will continue.
Yep. It'll keep
and
playing.
You can just listen to the audio only. It's pretty cool.
Oh man, I'm downloading Spotify just for that, because I don't have it.
Yeah.
So
it takes forever to upload, but you have the option of video and audio on Spotify.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right,
that's
brother.
Cool.
That's good, man.
Yeah, we're thankful for you, man.
Thanks,
we'll catch you soon, though.
Yes, thank you so much. You guys have a great night. Message
You
me
too,
if you
brother.
can.
For sure. Yeah. All right, Kenny.
All right.
Later. Hey guys, apologies for this awkward transition clip, but as I was editing our recording, I realized I forgot to have Kenny share with us how to find and connect with him. So I'm sorry, Kenny. My apologies, brother. Sorry for dragging you out an extra day for this
No
clip.
worries.
I know you said you didn't have a website or a Facebook, but how can people find you? How can people get in line to buy your geckos, your Spatterline stuff?
Right. So right now I'm just operating. I really am most active on my Instagram account, which is at cold-blooded only / upside down geckos.
Okay.
And on Facebook, you can just message me directly at Kenny Constrictor with a K /
Is that your personal?
upside down geckos as well.
Is that your personal or is that like a business
Yes,
page?
yes. Both my accounts are
Okay.
personal accounts.
Cool.
I pay attention to both.
Nice.
They're not business oriented accounts. So if you message me, I'll make sure I answer. And whether it's for advice or it's for availability, you message me, I'll be there.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, Kenny. Appreciate you,
Thank
brother.
you so much again.
All right. Later.